from. Somehow I ended up with about 10. So we're just going to see what happens. But as you know, we're moving in. This is obviously we're not there yet. There's a lot of stuff we're doing. Thank you for forgiving our dust as we move in. I think it's going to be a great facility. A lot of stuff we're doing. This is going to be darkened out. The rest of the glue we're going to try to get up so it looks more like, for lack of a better example, Sam's front floor. We want it to be sort of like that. It'll be good for stills for all the kids. We like to have kids in worship. I think that's one of the best things we do at this church. When I see kids up here with their hands up, singing along even if they don't know all the words, I think that just makes God smile. And so that's going to mean Kool-Aid stains, and even for you adults, it's going to mean coffee stains. I've been here, we've had this place 5 years now. One thing I've learned is that y'all are messy. And so this kind of floor's good, and a whole bunch of stuff we're doing. So forgive us while we're growing. Obviously, we're going to have speakers, and we're going to get all the audio stuff set up. But thank you for hanging in there and helping out. And we're going to make this place what we want it to be and what I think God wants it to be. So that being said, I have some jokes, and Bryn, these pieces are for you. Okay, what do lawyers use for birth control? Their personalities. What's the difference between a dead dog in the road and a dead lawyer in the road? There are skid marks in front of the dog. What do you have when a lawyer is buried up to his neck in sand? Not enough sand. This is my wife. She's going to laugh regardless. I pay her for that. And this isn't a lawyer joke, but it's my all-time favorite joke. Completely inappropriate, but I just can't stop. I can't not laugh. Why was 6 afraid of 7? No. Because 7 was a registered 6 offender. It's funny. That is funny. That's really good. Okay. Let's get into the message now that I got that completely inappropriate joke out of the way. If you got a Bible, I hope you do. We believe the Bible, the entire thing, is the inspired Word of God. We don't think that it needs to be made relevant. We think that it's on fire as it is. We think that everything about it is relevant now, just like it was relevant then. It'll be relevant in 100 years and 1,000 years. So if you have your Bible, and again, I hope you do get it out. We're going to look at John chapter 13. If you're there, say I'm there. What we have here, I'm going to go on anyway because I only see 2 people flipping. We got Jesus, and Jesus is going to be leaving his people soon, his disciples. There. Thank you. If it was going to interrupt the message, I really just kind of want you to keep it to yourself. That's okay. We got Jesus. He's going to be leaving his people soon. His guys, his disciples, everybody that he loved. He's going to be leaving them soon, and he knows it, and he knows he's not going to be back. So what he's doing in John chapter 13 is he's laying some foundation, some groundwork for his church and what he wants it to look like. Like, what does he want his church to look like? Because you got to remember, before this, there was the temple, there was the Old Testament, the Torah, the Jewish law. But we're about to move into something completely different. Okay, the covenant of the blood. Jesus. And he's saying, hey, this is what I want my church to look like. I'm going, and I'm not going to be back for a while, and it's on you. You got to do in my church. I want to tell you what this church should look like. And if you look at verse 34, this is what he says to his guys, his disciples. A new command I give you. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. How are people going to know if you're a disciple of Jesus Christ? Is it because you're a Republican? Is it because you love Trump? Oh, Trump's my man. Is it because you hate Trump? Is it because you love immigrants? Is it because you hate immigrants? Is it because you've got a fish sticker on your bumper? Is it because you wear a Christian t-shirt because you go to the Lifeway bookstore? Is it because you don't? Is it because of the school you go to, the car you drive, the degree you have? No. It's if you love each other the way that he loved you. This is how I want my church to look. I'm not going to be here much longer, and you need to know this. You ever wondered how to describe Christians? Like when you invite somebody to the church, you ever wonder, like, they're going to wonder what it's going to be like. How should I describe it? How should we describe it? I believe this is what Jesus is doing. Every once in a while, he just said, okay, quit, time out for a second. Let me remind you who we're supposed to be. All right? Forget about the politics in Washington. Forget about the division in this country right now. Forget about all the different sides that you can fall on and all the different issues. that there are out there. Forget about what you feel about gays. Forget about what you feel about sin, about denominations, about water baptism or sprinkling. Forget all that stuff for a second. Time out, pause. Let me remind you what we are supposed to be about. Don't make it more complicated than it is. Jesus is like, no, listen, time out. Brain focus. I used to watch a cartoon called Jimmy Neutron. And he would always be like, brain focus, like, hey, time out. Stop looking at everything you're looking at. Look right here for 1 second. Let me remind you of who we are. Don't let what you see forget about what you read. In other words. And that's what Jesus is doing here. He's stepping in here. Don't get caught up in all that. Don't make it more complicated than it is. We fight for those who have no one to fight for them. We fight for those without voices. We fight for those who are outcast that nobody else will let in. We touch people and heal them that other people won't even get close to. This is who we are. This is what matters. This is what it means to be a church of Jesus, to follow Him. It's love. By this, people will know you are with me. Not what you drive, not the clothes you wear, the kind of Bible you got, the translation, it doesn't matter. It's about being the one for those who have no one. We have a little foster daughter named Ariana. She's a little baby, 3.5 months old. And she's got brain damage, the extent of which I guess is up for debate. And some doctors think it's worse than others do, but she can't swallow, she can't control her secretions and all the motor nerves, the involuntary things that we all do without thinking about it. Her brain had a lack of oxygen, and that didn't develop. And so she has to be suctioned all the time, or she'll choke on her own, she'll ask for it. And there's all these things she has, and she was taken from her mom, and she's sitting there in a hospital bed. When Amy and I decided we were going to get her, we have her brother already, we've had him for 15 months, but the thing we say about Ariana, when we hold her head and we touch her, because she's blind, and you don't know what she knows and what she doesn't, we always tell her, you have people now. And that's our thing. You have people. Everybody needs people. Nobody needs to be alone. And that's what Jesus is saying. You are here to be somebody's people that don't have people. You're here to be the one for those who don't have no one. You want to know what this church is about? It's about nothing you read on Facebook. It's about love. You love each other the way I loved you. That's what this church is about. And if you can keep the main thing, and stop focusing on the minors, then we'll get people in here that'll be beating down the door. Because that's a ridiculous kind of love that's obvious to you. Amen? You got to remember to interact with you. Here's a fact. If that scripture is true, if you love the people, oh my gosh, in your row. If you love the people in your row the way Jesus is telling you you're supposed to. If you love the people in this room the way that Jesus is telling us we're supposed to. If you love the people in this church the way Jesus is telling us we are supposed to. I love going to find the lost, but here's the fact. We won't have to. The lost will be beating down our door. We'll have 3 services by next weekend. If you can love each other the way Jesus said you're supposed to. Love like that ain't hard to see. In fact, you can't hide it. You ever been love drunk? I mean, I may be taking you back to high school. But you ever been love drunk? Yeah, Linda's like, really, I'm love drunk.
My only addiction.
I love it. As long as y'all married, that's what it's supposed to be about, and that's good. Let me get a volunteer real quick. I was going to use Trey, but Trey's not here. Okay, let's see. Who do I want to volunteer? Yeah, come on. I've never actually had someone want to volunteer. Maybe that means I shouldn't have picked you. All right. You can't hide being loved. I'll tell you a story real quick before I get to you stay right here. Before I get to the illustration. I remember when I first met my wife. Blind date. I'm sure she was really impressed, with the guy. Yeah, I mean, how can you not be impressed with that 90s look I had going on? The button-up flannel shirt, with the long cargo shorts. But I was in love with her, like right away. And I remember being on the phone talking to her, and she called, and her friend was like, "Yeah, I think she likes you too." I remember it was yesterday, being in my trailer with the floor, that was the vinyl floor, and I had socks on. And I remember when her friend told me that she liked me too, I remember sliding. I'm sliding. I'm like a 19-year-old grown man. I'm sliding with socks on. Kevin Bacon or something, footloose, like Tom Cruise. I'm sliding all over the place. When you're love drunk, you can't help but show it. Girls, if your guy says he loves you so much, but if you're love drunk, you need to slap him a couple times, right? He needs to act like it. Love ain't just something you feel inside, it's how you act outside. Everything inside produces actions on the outside. Your heart directs everything. Everything flows from your heart. That includes your actions. So don't take that lukewarm love. Don't take that stuff. All right? Don't get you, drop the zero, get you here. I don't know what I'm saying here. Just saying in my notes. But you know what I'm saying? Make it happen. Because she made me love drunk. And you could tell. I couldn't hide it. So here's what I want to the thing about being love drunk is it's sort of like being drunk. All right? And when you're drunk, everybody in the back, kids, close your ears. Let me hear this. When you're drunk, you can't hide it. And you've ever been around a friend that's like drunk off their butt or whatever? They can't hide it. As an officer, you can't talk right, you can't stand right, you can't act right. In fact, I took this from my lawyerly How to Beat a DUI book I bought from the Joy Law Firm in Charleston, okay? Here's the deal. When cops pull you over, they give you field sobriety tests if they think you've been drinking. And they give you, there's 3 specific ones I'm going to go to. One of them is the horizontal gaze and stagger steps. Right, ma'am? You have any drinks today? Why are you smiling like that? It's really funny. I just pulled you over. Normally, I don't get that kind of, it's great. I don't get that kind of reception when people over with my badge on. Are you sure you haven't been drinking? No. I smell a little bit of alcohol. I'm going to give you a couple tests. Okay, if you want to put your feet together, look my way. Okay, now I'm going to look back that way. Okay, now here's what I want you to do. This is a light, a little light bulb. Okay, use your magic light. You don't have enough money to buy it. It's a flashlight, whatever. I need you to keep your head still. I want you to follow this, okay? Don't move your head. I want you to follow this. Alright? The horizontal gaze and staggers, if you're drunk, if you're impaired with alcohol, there's certain clues an officer is going to look for. You cannot turn your eyes more than 45 degrees without your eyes shaking. And it's a dead giveaway that you're impaired. You have more than 0.08% alcohol or blood alcohol content in your body. And there's a couple more. Here's this one. Come over here. Man, if you will just stay like I am, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to do it for you, okay? Because it's easy if you're not impaired. Put your feet together. Count from 1,000 to 1,005. Heel to toe. Hands at the side. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005. Then I want you to turn. Then I want you to come back the other way. 1,006, 1,007, 1,008, 1,009, 1,010. Okay, go ahead.
Am I starting off with the kid?
Couple of things cops look for when they do the walk and turn test. Failure to keep balance, putting your arms out, getting the numbers wrong, starting over, not turning correctly. These things you will do if you're drunk. If you are drunk, you cannot help but do these things that are going to give your state away to the officer. Last, or the third thing we're going to go over, maybe more. I watch DUI videos all the time for wreck cases. The dash cam captures them all, so I see this stuff all the time. It's probably the most interesting part of my job. But the other interesting one is the leg raise. What I want you to do is stand with your feet together. Okay, please don't start till I tell you to, because that's one of the signs that you're impaired. Hands down. I want you to put one of your feet about 6 inches off the ground in front of you. I want you to look at your feet, keep your hands by your side. I want you to count from 1 time. Thank you very much. Swaying while balancing, using arms for balance, putting feet down, less than 2 of those moves, and more than 2 means a BAC over 0.08. When you're under the influence of alcohol, there are certain things that you will just be like. You cannot stop it, you cannot help it, you will act certain ways, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you get pulled over, a cop will notice, you will go to jail. It's like 2 lessons in 1. Kids, don't drink and drive, don't drink at all. But what's the point about this? The point is this. The same is true for somebody who's under the influence of the Holy Spirit. The same is true for somebody who's a Jesus follower. The same is true for somebody who claims to be a Christian. If you follow Jesus, you will be love drunk. you will be doing things that you can't stop doing. People will look at you and they will know there's nothing you can do about it. All right? You will be just like that. You can't hide it. You can't stop it. I mean, I love Jesus so much, I mix through videos sometimes. I'll look back the next morning like I got a hangover, like, what was I thinking? It's like, yeah, I was loving on Jesus. I've done that before. Have you? I mean, maybe you have. It's like you can't help it. Being love drunk, ridiculous love. It's going to be what defines you. But the church often doesn't look love drunk at all. I mean, listen, let's be honest. Forget about loving the lost. We often have trouble loving the found.
Amen.
Think about that for a minute. And if we have trouble loving the found, loving the people within this room, leaving the church whenever somebody annoys you, or whatever it may be, how in the world do you think we're going to get people that don't even believe in God in the first place to see how we act and then be drawn into that? It's not going to happen. That's why churches across this land are dying daily. Because it's not about love, it's about political affiliations, it's about social issues, it's about things going on. When Jesus said, hey, brain focus, stop for 1 second, forget all that stuff that's going on, remember who we are. Love each other the way I loved you. So why do we have such trouble? I think we all admit we have trouble loving people the way we're supposed to. It's because we haven't trained ourselves to look at people in the way that God looks at people. You know, I'm going to wake you up there. You know, like Brandon, he says, right? Give me your eyes for just 1 second. Give me your eyes so I can see everything that I've been missing. Give me love for humanity. Give me your eyes for just 1 second. Give me your eyes so I can see. All right, I got to wake you guys up. It's a little hot. This makes you a little dozy. Brandon Heath knows. Brandon Heath knows how to love people. You got to see people the way that God sees. You know what other Brandon knows how to do it? Brandon Walsh knows. Anybody know who Brandon Walsh is? Yes. Come on, 90s people. Brandon Walsh, 90210. Brandon Walsh. Am I the only person who was alive in the 90s? I mean, you guys look old enough to be alive in the 90s. 90210. Some of y'all was old enough to be alive in the 1890s, so I know you know what I'm talking about, okay?
I watched like real one. I didn't watch it.
You're just going to sit there and pretend like you dead and you're going to smile. Because that's what I based my whole sermon off of, Barry.
Sorry.
Brandon Walsh knows. Here's the deal. You actually don't have to know much about it, but we'll recap it. I have revised and amplified and changed an old sermon I did called 90210 because, as I told you, we're going through some of the primary things in our transition. Each of these sermons is going to be one of the principal things Jesus laid out that is just so core to what it means to be a Christian that we need to talk about it every year and we need to be reminded of it constantly. And so that's what this 90210 sermon is about. If you didn't watch it or if you did, Brandon and Dylan were the two main characters on the show. They had sideburns, they were cool, and they lived in Beverly Hills, which I think 90210 must be the zip code for that. And so, I mean, they had everything, and you know, you had these guys, and you had some bad guys that came in on occasion. Good guys and bad guys, and that's about where the whole 90210 thing ends, so you don't need to know too much more about it, right? But every show you've ever watched, most of them at least, always got a good guy and a bad guy. It's always good guys, bad guys, good girls, bad girls, good people, bad people, left, right, up, down. Everything's always classified. Everything's always in a box. You're in one, they're in the other. Us versus them, right? That's everything you see. Good and bad, bad and good, up and down, right and left. Democrat, Republican, whatever you want to say. Put them in a camp, put them in a box, define them by that thing, that trait, even if we never met them. I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody walked in that door right now. I wish I had an actual illustration. I had somebody do it, because it might be more effective. But let's imagine that some lady walked in. She wanted to join our service right now. And she had on an I voted for Hillary shirt. And she sat down right there. Now, we in the South, not only are we in the South, but we in the church in the South. So I imagine, maybe not here, but in most churches, there would be some chanting going on, hopefully inside your head, but maybe not, of lock her up, kind of stuff like that. All right? And you would automatically put her in a certain category based solely on the t-shirt. You would make decisions based on what you thought. Decisions like, okay, we're not going to invite her to lunch. Okay, I'm not going to let her have any of my nanner pudding. Okay, I'm not going to sit by her. Based only on one little thing, we automatically categorize her, put her in a box so that we can feel more comfortable in the box that we think that we're inside of. because we don't want to be like that. We're different, and we have to have these boundaries so that we can keep our identity. And that's the whole wide world right now. Social media amplifies and accelerates that because you join groups that you like and people that are just like you. All you ever hear is an echo chamber of people who believe the same thing you believe. And before you know it, you're in this massive box, and everybody else is in that massive box, and it's us versus them, and Satan works by division of two. When you divide by two, you have two of the same size groups that go at each other. That is Satan. That is not God. God, Jesus, called us to be unified. The church is people. To be of the same mind. Not to be disunified. Not to be against each other. Remember, brain focus, it's not about that. You are to love people the way I loved you. Don't forget. Keep the main thing the main thing. Amen? So we classify people. We put people in boxes. Good or bad. Right or left. Up and down. Democrat, Republican. All based on certain things. Bad or good. And I want to tell you a secret of the universe. Right? Here. I can't believe you're getting to hear this. Lucky you came to Impact Church this morning because I'm going to give you a secret of the universe that you never knew. There are no good people. That's made up. There are no good people. The Bible says it to be so. The Bible says, well, I'll tell you what the Bible says. The book of John says there are none who are without sin. Anyone who says he is a liar or does not know God. Jesus himself said, no one is good except God himself. Romans 3:23 said, for all sin and fall short of the glory of God. There are no good people. Martin Luther King, sinner. Martin Luther, sinner. Mother Teresa, sinner. You and me, sinner. Mr. Rogers, that's a close one, but sinner. I love Mr. Rogers. No one gets to be in that good box you think you're in except for Jesus. You don't forget that. No one. Here's another secret of the universe. You guys really lucked out today. This is like 2-in-1 sermon, okay? Another secret of the universe, some theologians are going to be like, well, that's not true. Everyone has a depraved heart. That may be true, but nobody is entirely bad either. Nobody is entirely bad either. Well, why do you say that? Because every single one of us, according to the Bible, was made in the image of God. And if you're made in the image of God, you're not going to convince me that you are entirely bad. And why do you think that atheists sometimes do good works? Have you ever wondered that? Because I have. I wondered why in the heck in God's green earth does Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie foster more children than we are when they don't even have Jesus in their lives? How in the world does that happen? And the answer to that question is because we are all made in the image of God. And that even people who deny his existence they know the moral code that's out there. They know there is a God, even if they self-deceive themselves and say that there's not. Romans 1:18 says this. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all godlessness and wickedness of the people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. This is the good part. Since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. This is the reason why when people say, well, if God is good, then how can that innocent African man in the middle of Africa, obviously since I just said he was an African man, how can he die and go to hell when no one ever told him about Jesus? The answer to that question is there is no innocent African man. None of us are innocent. And God has made it clear from the beginning of time through his creation that he does exist. There is a moral code so that none are with an excuse. Or verse 19, if you jump to the message, which love me or hate me, I love Eugene Peterson's Message version of the Bible. That translation, that paraphrase, speaks clearly in some places that just it speaks to my heart. It says the basic reality of God is plain enough. Open your eyes and there it is. It's there. It's there for the atheist. It's there for the agnostic. It's there for us. They know. So, no one is all bad because we're all made in the image of God. And number two, no one is all bad because all people are redeemable. That is the core of the gospel of Jesus Christ. No matter what you did last night, no matter what you'll do next weekend, Jesus paid it all. Jesus is that big of a deal. That it doesn't matter. He sits ready at that table, ready to make that completely unfair deal with you. His righteousness, his sinless life for the worst sin that you've ever done, that even the people that are closest you don't even know about. And He's willing to do it daily. All you have to do is sit at that table and make that most unfair exchange with Him. Your sin for His righteousness. The most unfair and imbalanced and unequal trade in the history of the universe of mankind. Jesus' righteousness for your sin. And that's available to everyone who comes to the table, who says yes, who believes. And so no, people are not all bad. So therefore, I'm here to tell you, your entire history of movies has been a big sham. There are no good people, there are no bad people, just a whole bunch of fallen people. And fallen people, get this, fallen people are both good and bad. And it depends on when you see it. It depends on the hour of the day. It depends on the day of the week. It depends on what's winning the battle at any given moment. If you're a Christian, you're good and bad. You got flesh and spirit. They're constantly battling against each other. If you go back to the Bible, Paul says in Galatians that Christians have the Spirit of God in the flesh warring in them every day. That's why sometimes you want to do good, but your body don't listen. That's why sometimes you want to do bad, but your heart's like, no, not today. Because you got two wolves inside of you. A good friend of mine once told me, and he's sitting in the back, that we have two wolves inside of us, a good one and a bad one. Which one rules your life? The one you feed. And that's some of the truest theology I've ever heard in my life. That's from Galatians. That's from what Paul says. Romans 7:21, chapter 7, verse 21 says this. In the Message, it says, hey, this is Paul. It happens so regularly that it's predictable. The moment I decide to do good, sin is there to trip me up. I truly delight in God's commands, but it's pretty obvious not all of me joins in that delight. Parts of me covertly rebel, and just when I least expect it, they take charge. Guys, if you're in here, you know this battle, and you know this battle with internet porn. 99.999% of men struggle with it, and the other 0.001 lie about it. That's my belief. You want to do good, but sometimes your body don't listen. That's what Paul's saying. You got two things inside of you, and they're fighting. Which one are you going to feed? You're going to feed the bad wolf with the internet, with the girls, with all that stuff. You're going to feed the good wolf with the scripture. You're going to get the armor of God on you so you can battle. You're going to be a warrior of God. You're not going to fall for that stuff today. We're good and bad. Depends on when you ask me. Depends on which wolf I'm feeding. Why does it matter? Why does it matter that we're all good and bad? Because the key to your relationships now, the key to loving people well, depending on the key to having this ridiculous love. Listen, this is like the key verse here. It's not even a verse, but it's the key point. The key to all that stuff, to whether you're going to have a good relationship, the key to whether you're going to get along with people, the key to whether this church is going to be defined by ridiculous love that attracts people that we can't even hold them in here. The key to all that is what you choose to focus on when you deal with people. Do you focus on the good or do you focus on the bad? Because every single one of us has both of them. You are bad and good. I can think about some of the crap you did to me and I can hate you and become bitter. Or I can think about the good inside of you and I can love on you. It'll make me unified. It'll make me to want to love on you some more. The key to your relationships and ridiculous love is what do you focus on when you think about other people? Do you focus on their good or do you focus on their bad? Are you listening to me? This is like Stephen Hawking's level stuff right here. Do you fight with people? Are you always in conflict? Do you not get along with people? Here is the answer. It's not whether you can change them. It's can you change you?
Amen.
Can you change what you're looking at when you look at that person? Can you no longer see the bad? Can you see the good instead? That'll change everything. You won't even recognize yourself a month after changing that around in your head. Tell you what happens in our day-to-day life to kind of explain, just give you like some nuts and bolts. We all have certain expectations and assumptions of the people around us. You assume I'm going to stop on time. I may not. All right? But let's give some examples. You got expectations for your wife, gentlemen, right? Gentlemen, if you're married, do you have expectations of your wife? Don't shake your head no just because she's sitting beside you. Let her not meet one of those expectations, then you'll be like, oh God, I can't believe she did that. But yeah, you do. You got expectations that she'll, man, I don't know your personal your situation, but maybe she'll make you dinner. Maybe that's like on her side of the wheelhouse, maybe she does that. You got expectations that she'll take good care of your kids, she'll love your kids. You got expectations that at night when the mood's right and the lights are down and everything's looking just so, man, she goes, wow, wow, right? You got those expectations. If you're married, it's okay. I don't have to censor that just because there's teens in the back. Get married and that gift opens up to you. But that's your expectations. Don't look at me like you have no, whatever she wants to do is fine with me. No, sir, that's not right. That's not right at all. You got expectations, ladies, of how your husbands are going to act. Do you not? He'll provide for you. He will love you unconditionally. The same day as when you first met you, regardless of whether you may be 5, 10, 15, 50, 100 pounds, a little bit heavier than you were back when he met you, you got expectations he's still going to love you. That he's not going to go off with some other woman. He's not going to look at some other woman. You got expectations to that, right? Say amen. That he might bring you flowers every once in a while. Apparently nobody wants flowers. Look, I'm going to move you all to the front, and we're going to do some exercises with y'all get interactive over here, okay? You got expectations of coworkers. They'll show up to work just like you do. They'll pull their weight. They won't call in sick every week and make you do double work. You got expectations. That's going to happen. Parents, you got expectations for your kids. They won't talk back. They'll make you grades. They won't do drugs. They won't be Clemson fans. All right? You got expectations of your kids. Here's a $1 million question. This is the crux of everything. What happens when these people in your life don't meet your expectations? If you've been alive for more than one day, you know that will happen, and it will probably happen later. What happens when the people in your life don't meet your expectations? What happens when you expect them to do A, and instead they come in and do? A lot of things can happen. Point is this, and I'll talk about the gap. I call it the gap. When you expect A and somebody comes to B, there's a gap that's created. And as a person, you fill that gap in with something. And that's when we get to the good or bad. What do you look at in people? What do you fill that in with? When something happens and people don't meet your expectations and your assumptions. I'll give you some more examples. I expect you to come to church every Sunday because it takes a lot of time to prepare a message. And you're supposed to love God just like I do. And it takes me away from my family. I expect you to come every Sunday. But sometimes I'll show up only every once in a while. I expected you up here, but you came in somewhere down there. That creates a gap. A gap in my expectations for you. A gap in what I assumed would happen. Now remember, we as people fill that gap in with something. It's the difference. Remember, we're all good and bad. It's what we use to fill that gap in with that creates either disunity or creates ridiculous love. We can assume the worst in person, that they're bad. Well, I know why you didn't come. You just don't like this church anyway. You don't like me. You never had. You see me as a Lord. You're not a pastor. I can fill it in with whatever I want. And I'll fill it in with that bad stuff, and I'll think about the bad, and all of a sudden we're disunified. Our church is splitting. We're going all separate ways. There is no Impact Church next year. Or I can fill it with something good. I can say, well, God, they were with me from the beginning. They were always here. Look, they did this and they did that. I love those people. Maybe they're going through a tough time. Maybe there's some stuff I don't even know about going on in their life. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to fill that gap in with the good stuff because I know they're good people. Those are good folks right there. And all of a sudden, there's a ridiculous love that most churches do not display. Here, more examples. My coworker didn't show up today. Now I got to carry his load because this is the bad. I'm the bad. Because he's a no good lazy bum anyway. I never did like him. He's always thinking about trying to be a supervisor. He can't even supervise himself. He's always laying out of work. No good bum. Fill that gap in with the bad. Fill that gap in with the bad. See what happens to your life when you fill the gap in with the bad. Or, hey, ladies, I expect my kids won't talk back because I'm their parents and my rules go, but they still talk back and they don't do their homework and they don't clean up the room. And you know what? You know why? Because they're just like your daddy. They'll never be nothing. Or we can choose ridiculous love. We can be a person that assumes the good in others. You know what? My coworker didn't come in today, but John, man, he's a good guy. He's been battling some sicknesses. I bet he's just feeling bad. He may even be at the hospital. I'm going to pray for that man. I mean, forget the job. He's battling something I can't even imagine. I'm going to pray for that man. Or, my wife doesn't make me meals every night or wait on me hand and foot. But I know she loves me. She's loved me for 20-something years. She's put up with me. Can you imagine that? Not only that, but we got like 5 kids at home, and they're like demons, man. And I don't want to be home all day with those kids. And yet she does it, and oh God, I want to make her dinner tonight. I'll pray for her as well right now as we speak. Fill it in with good. Fill it in with the stuff you know. It's up to you. Which wolf you going to feed? Who you going to be? Remember, brain focus. Love others like I loved you. That's what we're about. Nothing more, nothing less. Don't you forget it. This is the foundation. This is who we are. 90210 is a biblical secret, the ridiculously obvious love with everybody. Some of you are like, I get the message, well, why does he keep saying 90210? I got no idea what that's about. Somebody lift up his shirt, see if he's got on like Brandon Walsh PJs or something. He's got on like a Luke Perry onesie. No, it's not that. Oh, so many people that saw the show you think it's funny. I'm gonna tweet this next time and make it like Saved by the Bell or something, okay? It's not 90-20. I did that for a 90 series. It's 90 to 10. You see this cup? It used to be a good Star Wars drink, but now it's kind of, it went watery. This up here, the mathematicians are going to tell me I got a problem. Let's say that's 10%. It's 10%, but it's 90% full. And when people don't meet your expectations, when people don't come through like you think they should, when people in this church don't act like you think they should act, the question of whether we're going to be a church next year, whether we're going to grow, whether we're going to reach the lost, is what do you look at? Do you fill that gap in with the 10%, the bad? You know, they never were Christians. I always wondered if they really loved Jesus, this, that, the other. Are you going to look at the 90%? God, I love that guy. I know he's not showing up today, but man, he's done so many things. I mean, Jesse's a great guy, you know? I mean, his beard's beautiful. The 90%, right? You got to look at it. What do you look at when you focus on people? When they don't come through? It's easy, listen. It's easy when people come through. Don't give me that crap. People come through for you. Oh yeah, I love people when they come through with you. No, the true test of what you feel and who you are is when people don't come through for you. When people don't do what you expect them to do. What do you think about them then? Love people as I've loved you. You can choose ridiculous love and look at the people that are disunified. We can choose ridiculous love and look like what Jesus said, or we can choose the bad and we can look like the rest of the world and be in boxes and just fight each other and be divisive. And you can go your separate ways and you can be all those things that the world is. That's what you want to do. But Jesus said, no, that's not my people. That's not how we're going to be. What do you look at in people? How's it biblical? Because it's a really good illustration, but I want to make sure you realize this illustration is biblical. Everybody take a minute to wake up, because I swear if I see your eyes drooping, I'm going to walk over to you and I'm going to put some toothpicks in them like Fred Flintstone style, okay? Because I'm trying to teach you something here that you need to hear. And this is a verse that you've heard before, I guarantee it, but it's not a verse that I think you've heard in context. And there's a different context you need to know about. This is biblical. 902 is biblical. 90 to 10 is biblical. Because of God in Philippians chapter 4, verses 8 to 9. You've heard this before. Finally, brothers and sisters, this is Paul talking. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me, or seen in me, put into practice. And the God of peace, not the God of disunity, not the God of chaos, not the God of boxes, but the God of peace will be with you. That's a great verse, and it's broad in its application, and I've seen it used in so many ways, and I think all the ways are good. Gentlemen, you know, if I'm driving down the road, I start thinking negative thoughts about church and about people, and I change my mindset. I'm like, no, I'm going to focus on the good. I'm going to focus on what's going on, the praiseworthy, the honorable, and it changes everything, okay? You're at work, and some girl's showing you a little bit too much leg, your skirt's pulled up, she's flirting with you, and you got to change your mindset. Because number one, you're either going to start flirting back with her, or you're going to go to your computer later that night and do some things your wife wouldn't really like you to do. So you got to change your mindset and start thinking about praiseworthy things like Jesus and your children and how it would affect your life if you made one bad decision with one girl because you can't control your boys. You got to think about that. Focus on the good. Focus on the praiseworthy. It works like that. That application, that verse can be used for that. But I don't think that's what it was in there for. And if you read back a few verses, the context of it gives it a hint. And you won't see this on any Christian t-shirts. But just before that, Paul says this. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, you whom I love and long for, my joy and crown, stand firm in the Lord in this way, dear friends. Check this out. I plead with Euodia and I plead with Syntyche, these are two women, to be of the same mind in the Lord. Yes, and I ask you, my true companion, to help these women since they have contended at my side in the cause of the gospel, along with Clement and the rest of my co-workers whose names are in the book of life. Apparently, there was some strife, there was some conflict between these two women. Paul's writing to address it. Paul's writing to say, hey, the church needs to be unified. These two women, something's going on. I need you to fix it. We need to be in the same mind of the Lord. And how do we do that? How do you get along with others? How do you have good relationships? How do you fix conflict and strife? It goes on, it says, make sure you think about whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, whatever is praiseworthy. Think about such things, and the God of peace will be you. Think about the 90. You can't get along with people. You've got strife in your life. You've got conflict. What are you thinking about? Are you causing it? Think about the 90. Think about what's praiseworthy and honorable of that person that you can't seem to stand. Think about the good things that they've done, who they've been, what they've been through, the life they've had to live to get here. Maybe they're not like you, but maybe they didn't start from the same place either. Give them a break. Give them some grace. God gave you grace. And what does Jesus say? Love people like I loved you. How did he love you? With absolute grace. You don't deserve salvation. Neither do I. But you're going to withhold forgiveness and love from a friend because they didn't meet your expectations and you want to focus on that. You focus on the 90. Paul says so. Focus on what's good. Focus on what's right. What's honorable. What's praiseworthy. Focus on the good people have done in your life, not on the bad. You can look at somebody's life and you can tell what they focus on. You can see a life in chaos and disarray and conflict. And you can know that those people do not give the benefit of the doubt to anyone. And you can look at somebody who seems to get along with everybody. Do you think that just nobody does those people wrong? Of course not. But they choose to focus on the good. They choose to walk toward the Lord. They choose to love people like Jesus loved them. And they know they are not perfect. And they got grace. Real quick, just to make sure you know this is biblical. What time is it? Somebody just yell a time out. 11 o'clock. Let's keep going. All right. Everybody with the jumper jacks, wake up. Here we go. How do we know for a fact that that's what Paul meant? How do we know for a fact that is indeed biblical? That we are actually supposed to look at the 90 and not the 10 when people don't meet your expectations. How do we know that? Because Jesus displayed it. I'll show you. Luke chapter 7, 18 through 20. I'll give you a little rundown. John the Baptist, he laid the way. He was the forerunner. He prepared the way for Jesus to come. He was preaching before Jesus preached. He was talking about the one that was coming. The one that he's not even worthy to hold the shoes of the one who's coming. Preaching about it. Jesus comes. He says, there's the Lamb that's going to take away all the sin of the world. He baptizes Jesus. He's like, Jesus, I don't need to baptize you. You should baptize Jesus. Like, trust me. Baptizes Jesus. The voice of the Father comes out. It is my Son who's very well pleased. The Holy Spirit descends like a dove. John sees all this stuff. He was the forerunner. He got to be there when Jesus arrived on the scene. But here in Luke chapter 7, we get a change of circumstances in John's life. All of a sudden, he's in jail because of some girl. Some girl that has some kind of issues. And she wants his head cut off. And so he's like going to be executed. He's in jail. And he says to his disciples in 18, he says, calling two of them, he sent them to the Lord to ask this. Are you the one to come, or should we expect someone else? Have you ever read that and realized what was going on? John the Baptist is questioning whether Jesus Christ is the one to come, or should they expect someone else? And so, God, the disciples go there, but listen, I want you to don't miss the gravity of this. If I'm Jesus, if I'm God, and everybody take a moment to thank God that I'm not God, because everything would be Mountain Dew. Okay, everything would be Pac-Man, everything would be 80s. But if I'm God, if I'm Jesus, I have expectations of John the Baptist right here. He just came in about right there. And I'm like, I got a gap going on because not only did John question who I was, but he sent his disciples to me in public, in front of people while I was teaching, to question whether or not I was the one to come or if someone else would be coming. Think about that for a second. Don't miss that. I'm Jesus. I'm like, you're the forerunner, John. You were sent before me to prepare a way. You heard my Father's voice. You pointed at me on the side. You did all these things. You saw some of the miracles. You heard about them. How are you going to question who I am, whether I'm the one to come? Of course I'm the one to come. That's if I'm God. There would have been a real big gap that I had to fill in somehow. Luke 7, let's continue the story. After John's messengers left, Jesus began to speak to the crowd about John. What did you go out to the wilderness to see? A reed swayed by the wind? If not, what did you go out to see? A man dressed in fine clothes? No. Those who wear expensive clothes and indulge in luxury are in palaces. But what then did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, I will send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you. And this is the point. Jesus says to the crowd, I tell you, among those born of women, there is no one greater than John. John comes in right here. Or Jesus expects him to come in right here, and he comes in right there. There's a big gap. Listen to me. Brain focus here. What did Jesus fill it in with? Did he fill it in with, oh, I can't believe he did that. He saw, you must not be the forerunner. Or did he fill it in with the good? Jesus filled it in with all that's good. Not only that, he told the people there's no one greater than John, born of women. John questions whether Jesus is the one. And John doesn't rise to the expectation that you would think there would be for the one prepared by God to prepare the way for Jesus. And he fills the gap by saying, among those born of women, there's none greater than John. Maybe John's circumstances may have caused him to question whether or not Jesus was the one. But Jesus isn't looking at John's 10%. He's looking at the 90. He's looking at all the things that John did before that. He prepared the way. He pointed out me to everybody, saying that's the one that's going to take sin away. That's the Lamb of God who's going to provide salvation. He pointed at me, baptized me. I remember he told people he wasn't even worthy to hold my sandals. I remember when his disciples left and came to me. Instead of getting jealous, he's like, hey, I must become less. Jesus must become more. I'm filling the gap in with his 90. I'm going to say good things about him. I'm going to forgive the fact that he's in a bad situation right now. And of course he's going to have some doubt, because that's who our God is. He's going to look at your 90 and he wants you to do the same, because as Jesus said, love others as I have loved you. Amen? Amen. Let me share a little story about it. We're almost done. We go to Nicaragua every year. We skipped last year because they went and had a revolution on us, so we couldn't go down. First trip we had with this church, it was myself, it was Jesse, it was Trey, and it was Joey. I think in this room we only had the moment of Jesse and myself. Trey's at home with Carl, sorry, that's my son, and Joey's with the kids right now. But I remember, this is my first time leading as a pastor of a church, mission trip. We were at the mission house at night after working in the hot sun at the House of Hope that gives shelter to prostitutes and families that want to get out of the sex trade system. And so we were painting buildings, and it was hot. We had machetes, and we were killing mosquitoes and all that kind of cool stuff. Right? It was really cool. When we got back, and I'm trying to lead a conversation with these men, and Trey was like 16. But we're talking about stuff, and as guys will do when they get together, they started kind of, for lack of a better word, I want to say a word, but that might be a cuss word, complaining about their wives, right? Yeah, my wife, and here's the big complaint. The ladies here, I'm going to show some inside baseball. The biggest complaint among Christian men with their wife is that you won't let them lead. You don't let them lead the family. The Bible says it as clear as a bell, the man is the spiritual leader of the family. Period. I'm not going back on that this year or next year or 15 years from now. And the biggest problem that I see is that guys tell me, my wife won't let me be the spiritual leader. Credit on the woman's side, a lot of times there's good reason for that. But sometimes guys act like real jerks and do stupid things. They don't really deserve to be called the leader of the home sometimes. So I get both sides of it. But the fact is this, we are called to be the leader, and this is an aside. But leader isn't something that you make somebody accept. Hey, you could, that's not, if you have to ask your wife for permission to be a leader, you're not really a leader. Don't you get it? Think about that for a minute. Man, can I be the leader? That is not the leader. She made the decision to make you a leader. It's making you a leader. It's your character. It's who you become. You become the guy that God told you to be, laying down your life for her, doing whatever you can for her. Like Jesus did for the church. Any woman will follow that. This isn't an ego trip. This isn't something that is a title you put on your back. This is something you become. When any woman will follow that, you will become naturally the leader of your home, and you're the guy she can trust. All that being said, we talked about that kind of stuff. And we talked about some of the other issues. They were whining and moaning about this, that, and the other. And that's when I got the cup, And I poured it like this, and I was like, okay, you guys have told me about the 10, now tell me about the 9. And man, it was like a light bulb went off, thunder clapped. That may have just been the storm, I don't know. But they just started opening up. And I mean, I heard some crazy things like, yeah, my wife puts a little note in my lunch when I go to work, says she loves me. You know, my wife takes great care of the kids. I can't even imagine dealing with those little demons all day. You know, I'm just joking. Kids are awesome, but it's funny. My wife loves on me. My wife puts me first above her family. My wife does this. My wife does that. Man, it was just like a moment happened. And if the ladies had been there to hear it, we would have needed some more rooms. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? But we would have. I mean, it was a moment that happened, and it's like something clicked. And once you get your mind off that 10, and you start thinking about the 90, everything changes. Your relationships with people change. You can love people the way He loved you when you do that. Let me ask you a question. Before Jesus went to the cross and decided to do what He did for you and me, do you think He was thinking about that, or was He thinking about that? Was He thinking about how hopelessly lost we are, or what we could be with Him? Think about it for a second. He gave us grace. He'll forgive anything, and we're going to hold the hand up to the door. You can't come in because your sin stinks too bad. I'm not going to forgive you because I'm going to focus on that time you did me wrong. Jesus wants unity in His church. Bring focus. The church is about love. Love people the way I love you. We can literally, I think if that's all we took from that Bible, and we didn't even study any other part of it, we would be a better church than the churches we see today. That's almost ridiculous, but it's true. 90-10, don't ever forget that. We're all good at that. How you look at people in your life. What do you concentrate on? Do you assume the best? And if you don't, that's the one concept that can change every relationship you have. It's the one concept that is ridiculously obvious love inside this church. Let's pray. God, we love you so much. I thank you for the fact that we get to even open up this word and preach from it and talk about it and sing about it and pray about it. The fact that we're in a country where we can do that, and we don't have to worry about being arrested or persecuted. I pray that as Christians we would start realizing our major job is just to love people, like you love people. It's not to be in an affiliation or a political party or have big-time opinions on certain issues that you're willing to voice on social media and become a stumbling block for another would-be Christian who would come to Jesus, but for the fact that you're tripping them up with your big fat mouth. God, I hope that we would realize this stuff. Brain focus, I hope we would do that we are to love people the way you loved us. And we focus on that and only that, and then we can learn the rest as we go. God, I pray that we'll be a church like that with ridiculously obvious love for each other that attracts people. And even though we will go and we will try to reach the lost, they'll try to come and be reached just because they can't understand or fathom the kind of love they see amongst us. A kind of love they don't recognize because this kind of love isn't in the world. I pray they will see that, they will smell that, they will taste that on us. And they will start showing up and that we can grow this church and we can reach this city with the true gospel. God, we love you so much, and again, we thank you for everything that you are. We thank you for the ability that you have believed in. It's all given. You are sovereign. You are over everything. It's in Jesus' name, the one and only way. We always pray. Amen. Next week, come again, we'll have more stuff done and we'll preach about Jesus again. That one thing will remain the same. Please don't forget we're in a new facility. Things are a bit more expensive. We have to do things. The tithing boxes over there. Just be faithful with tithes and offerings. And I'll see you next week. Love you. And we have Wednesday night service at 7 o'clock. If you want to come, it's a Bible study. It's a lot more laid back. See you guys later.